because my mom was 18 and he was 30. Mm-hmm. So when they got married to you, it was arranged marriage in India. Mm-hmm. So 18, a girl has very different dreams.
Sure.
And 30-year-old man is very different ambitions and goals in life. So they never matched. And my mom came from a business family and he came from a spiritual family where his grandfather also left the family to be a monk. Like it goes in the family, in the genes. So actually my friends tell me like even now that Navana, even you have the dilemma whether to do business or to do meditate.
To go to spirituality?
So, yeah, in between always.
Isn't it only men that can become babas? I don't think there's any female babas, is there?
No. The female are called witches and burnt in states, right?
Saying, yeah? I mean, the Vedas, from what I understood, doesn't even recommend women doing yoga, right? So...
even today, you see most of the motivational speakers or the gurus, they are all men, most of them. There's hardly, because being a woman, you're objectified most of the time. Like you see a man posting on social media and everybody's like, oh, I can relate to this. Even I'm going through the same. It's great. The moment, from my experience, I will post, most of the comments would come, you look nice.
But what is your feed like? Is your analytics more men or more women in your account? I can tell you right now.
More men.
Ours is 90% men.
More men, yeah.
So I think maybe men use more social media than women. I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah.
But maybe they follow more fashion accounts.
I think so.
Because I can tell you right now, ours is 90% men.
Yeah, it's true. So
we don't get comments on comment. We don't get a lot of. We don't get comments either on our posts. We get DMs, which is bizarre. Like people won't like if they like something or disagree with something. Yeah. They won't put it in the comments. They DM you.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
But it's not like a question. It's just a statement. Like. So I don't know. Yeah, like, are you meant to respond to that? Do they want you just to see it? Like, what's going on in their head?
See, I think, for example, most of my clients come from LinkedIn, and I feel there I get more quality comments and interactions.
Okay.
Whereas,
really, do you?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, I've seen some of the comments I've seen on LinkedIn. They're all kind of like,
But I get a lot of like business contacts and work and everything through LinkedIn mostly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I've...
Facebook is rubbish for me.
Facebook is terrible. Instagram is medium for me.
It's, midway.
Midway, especially for content creators. It makes a lot of sense. LinkedIn...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because maybe because I also work a lot with universities. Mm-hmm. So, professors, deans, all the intellectual crowd, I get more on, they're not on Insta. Or maybe if they are, they're in a different account in a different way. I don't know.
Username. Yeah.
So, so I'll have to finish the story. So, so I came back to India. Then my mom passes away.
My condolences.
So that's the time, I realized there was absolutely nobody from family who came forward. Because they were so scared, like, what if I ask for money?
Okay.
Finances.
Okay. I like how that's the prevalent.
Yeah, so I would get comments, I have seen her in such good condition, health condition, it hurts to see her like this now. Or something like, we have our own families, so we cannot be there. Okay, all accepted, everything done. Friends turned out to be more a family for me than the bloodline family. So, anyway.
So, do you have any relatives left or?
Yeah, not connected. Not connected at all.
Interaction.
After my mom passed away, then suddenly it hits you. Okay, I don't have anybody in this world. You are coming back home by yourself, empty, dark apartment. And business is gone by that time because so much time was gone after my mom nursing her. No sibling, relatives, far gone. Friends, once in a while. But, it was getting into that depression, isolation.
This was what year?
Grief. It has been already, 9 years?
Okay.
8-9 years now.
Okay. So it was before COVID. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
2016, whatever.
So what do I do at that time? I got married.
Okay.
in a way, subconsciously, if I look back, I realize now I was looking for emotional dependence. Somebody there in the life. I was so exhausted with life. I'm like, there should be somebody driving the car in the driver's seat. I can rest in the back seat now, which I didn't realize it will never happen in life. You have to drive your own car. So this guy walks in and I get married. He was from New Zealand, Indian from New Zealand. He was also into spirituality because during my mom's illness, you are asking for answers, looking for answers, you're looking for some comfort. So you start going to all these workshops and healing and this and that, and you end up learning so much. So I met him in a spiritual workshop somewhere. Amazing. We were in the same path, get married. We started making, spiritual science workshops all over India. Amazing success. And I was the one doing the concept, marketing, everything.
So you were back end, he was front end.
He loved to be in the center of stage and I didn't mind.
Okay.
But I could see anytime I would be speaking, he would be upset.
Okay.
If people are like, oh, we would have loved to hear you more. And 3 years was lived together because I wanted to make sure that, I'm stepping in the right thing. The day we got married, the next day everything changed.
Okay.
And it was very abusive. Physically abusive, mentally abusive, every way. But most those who are in spirituality, I have noticed here as well, they're looking for the high.
In what sense? You mean like the like a cocaine high? Or?
Yeah, they feel that transcendental bliss and the high. But the actual path of spirituality is not that easy. That sitting down every day, meditate for hours, practice, lot of discipline. It's not easy.
I've meditated. I meditate sometimes in the morning. I've never felt a sense of bliss in my entire life, and that's not what I do it for either. I do it to keep my mind calm and to keep be on the ball. I've never sat there being like, I feel good.
Exactly. It's a different story completely. Never. Rather, everything that is inside you piled up, they come out even more in the beginning.
For me, I don't have any kind of emotional attachment to it. It's just a way for me just to completely calm my mind. It's almost like prayer to me.
Yeah, okay.
That's how it is for me. There's no... feeling blessed. There's no good energies. There's no lights. There's none of that bullshit. To me, it's bullshit. For me, it's just to zone, to be in the zone. Yeah.
Well, you see around you, there's a lot of spiritual shopping going on. Who's the next one in town? I have come across bizarre definitions of meditations. The worst was I meditate when I drive. Somebody told me.
Okay.
I meditate when I'm in shower.
I like that. I like that.
I'm like, you're doing something else.
I like that.
When you're in the shower.
I like that.
I'm like, please don't meditate when you're driving.
I like that. I know that there's some crazy people like in the Himalayas and stuff like that.
And I have met them.
Yeah, they are like next level.
Because that was the next part of my story. That night, I sat all night because...
So you found out about this?
I found out about this.
And how did you find out about this?
This girl, actually... We made a group of the girls. We were sharing the screenshots of all the messages we were sending to everybody.
But how did you find out about it the first time?
The first time, actually, the girl, he was blackmailing one of them. She was sending me long cryptic messages.
You're what? Like you're such a bastard? Or
about I'm with this man and this and that. Like very weird. And then he would be like, I'm taking care of her. Don't worry. I'm like, okay, if he is counseling her, why should I get into it? Until one point, your inner feeling tells you, the gut tells you.
Something
and I'm like, something is wrong. And I told him, you know what? Doesn't matter. I'm going to give her a call tomorrow morning and see. That evening, he tells me, Navana, you have been very good to me, but I have cheated on you. And this is what has happened, and this girl is blackmailing me. So that's what he said, that he's been blackmailed. And this marriage is so important for him. But when I spoke to the girl after that, I know everything she was saying is true. Because there was a lot of cross-reference that I could do immediately. And I did not doubt her for a second. And once that was revealed, more and more women came forward. in the next couple of days. I actually made a list of all the women he was targeting and, sent messages to them and whatever I could do. But that night, the entire night I was sitting there, first you're like, where did I fall short as a wife? It is my mistake. I have done something wrong. And I thought of every possible way I could kill myself. And I'm like, okay, the building is not tall enough that I'm gonna, jump from there. There is no poison in the house. There is no, I can burn myself. Even that was not an option. So nothing worked out. 7 a.m, packed my bags.
Why did you feel it was your fault though?
I think it was since my childhood.
But you have no control of whether or not he blackmails people.
It's how, it's how your subconscious mind is always working in autopilot without you realizing it. Since my childhood, my father walked out when I was 4, and I still have the memory of it very clearly, that my mom was holding the stairs, the railing of it, and she sat down and my father going down the steps, and I was standing just behind her. And in those days, divorce were not common in the society. Okay. So everyone told her, if you divorce now, no one will marry your daughter when she grows up.
Okay.
So all these conditionings of the society, and my little child brain was fed this way. So, somewhere your brain just freezes in that point that it is my fault. And you have to also, understand that such people like the one I was married to, who are very narcissistic, right, in a way, they follow a very systematic pattern to work on your subconscious and bring you down over a period of time. Okay. First thing they will do is cut you off from your close circle.
Okay.
Your friends. Because every time I would be going out or having, communication with friends, there would be problem at home. And then the next thing you think is it's better to have peace rather than go out with anybody. So slowly and steadily, you are cut off from your friends.
Okay.
Then they will feed things, statements in a continuous banner throughout the day that you are not good enough. You're not good enough in this. You're not good enough in that. So over time, it builds up in you without you realizing it.
But this is very interesting that you bring up, because I think I see things a little bit more different. Maybe I'll have to play the devil's advocate because it's part of who I am. I think my relationship as what I want with someone is very different in that insinuation. First of all, I don't, if I would get married and for a longer scope project, I wouldn't want to live in the city, for example. I'd want to live outside of town. There's not going to be a lot of people to begin with.
Yeah.
Right? I like the idea. I grew up mostly in cities, and I kind of like the idea of going to a farmhouse somewhere.
Yeah.
And just relax, And I feel like...
Yeah. I totally get you.
Yeah. And I feel like especially with friends, some of them are close friends, and that's great. But 90% of the people I meet, they're just looking out for themselves. You know what I mean? There's no real relationship there. It's more like a phone call when they want, like, for their client a discount or something like that. Or and we haven't seen each other in a long time. Let's go for a drink in the bar. And then they're like, oh, my boyfriend cheated on me. My wife did this. You know what I mean? You become like their sponge,
Yeah.
And so... So when you say like cutting off like your friends and stuff like that from that perspective, that's the way I would see it. So I don't know. Anyway, so you're so you cut you off for step one.
Culture to culture it differs. I've noticed.
But even when you go back home, that like how many? They're usually smaller communities. No.
I do have friends. Like for years I've known them.
Okay.
Like for now 20 years, 25 years.
I have maybe 2.
Yeah.
Maybe
I think I'm blessed on that. I always have said to myself, God has not given me a family, but friends.
No. See, the trick is to say you only have 1 or 2. So the people who hear it go, yeah, that must be me.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
But anyway,
so
they
the
cut off
next
the friends.
thing happens.
What's stage 2? So they cut off your friend circle.
Yeah.
And what's stage 2?
Then they start feeding in your subconscious mind in a continuous, gradual way that you are not good enough.
Okay.
So they keep on reinforcing that statement again and again and again. And it's like a kind of hypnosis until you start believing it that this is the truth.
Okay. So did you at the time feel fortunate that you were with him then?
Sorry?
Did you feel fortunate at the time to be with him?
At the time, he was the only one I had, the only human being in my life whom I called a family, a husband. That's it. So for me, that was a big deal that I was not alone. I was so scared to be by myself, alone. I think that's the biggest thing.
No, what I meant is when he was telling you and you started believing that you're not good enough, not pretty enough, not whatever.
See, I did not even know that I was believing in it until the effects of it actually happened.
Okay.
You know, consciously, you wouldn't be like, oh, I'm the type of person who would believe in such thing.
Okay.
Until you suddenly realize, you look back and you're like, oh, it must have worked on me.
And how did that manifest?
That's how I acted. I stayed with him for that long, and that's how I questioned to my own self that where did I fall short as a wife?
Okay.
Because I was always overdoing. I was overdoing for my mom. I was overdoing for my husband. I was always the overdoer.
Okay.
You know, even with my mom, throughout her life, the moment my dad walked out, I was like her husband, her parent, her everything. I was never the child. And towards the end of her life, sometimes I would get frustrated. I would be like telling her, I'm not your husband. But that's what it happens. Like, I would have to take the responsibility of her happiness, of her everything in life. You know? So it became a habit that I'm the one responsible for my mother's happiness. I'm the one responsible for my husband's happiness. If anybody is complaining, it's me. I'm not doing my job right. So the next morning, I remember I packed my bags. I left. And I went to the Himalayas at that time.
Okay.
Now, when
Did you tell him you're leaving? Because
no, I didn't.
Okay, because you said at the moment you knew that was khalas is when he was choking you.
Yeah, I took my passport. I took my bank passbook, like the important documents.
Sure.
And I just left because if I would tell him, I was afraid that he might not let me go.
Okay.
So I just left. Went to the Himalayas. Now, since I was a child, my family was always into spirituality. They were always going to the Himalayas. And I had heard about a guru whom my family had met at that time. And there are many books written on him, actually. He's all over Google search, YouTube videos. And it is said that he does not take birth through a human womb. He's one of those yogis who just transfers the bodies.
Like the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, like shed the body.
Okay.
And enters another body of a young boy.
Okay.
But he doesn't take birth through a human womb.
So his consciousness just moves from one body to another.
Exactly. And he's a spark from Mahavatar Babaji.
Okay.
And he's roaming in the Himalayas. And if you're fortunate, you will find him. Okay. And I've heard from my mother before she passed away that people are talking that he has already taken another body. So I'm like, I have to find him. How would I find him? I didn't know. I went to the Himalayas. I'm like, okay, how? Now you get off the train and you're like, okay, now what?
You start asking around town.
Stay in the hotel, go in the Google search, go through Facebook posts, somewhere, some devotee somewhere would write something, ask people around. I came across a post on Facebook of Leonard Orr.
Okay.
He was the founder of breathwork, right? And he had learned breathwork from this master. And he had written there that he's in the Himalayas in a secret location. And this is the contact number of somebody in Delhi. If anybody is interested, and you have to get permission to get there. He has started to give darshan, means appearance, to whoever wants to meet him. So I called up that number in Delhi, introduced my grandfather's name. He recognized, he called up wherever in Himalayas. And the message came that, when can you come? And I said, right now, I'm here.
And how much did it cost?
Cost means just for the car and the trains to get there. No, nothing. So I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. And it was the month of February. I had no clue Himalayas would be that cold, that it is snowing. I had no idea. I had one sweater, which was practically nothing compared to the cold that I was about to, face. Went there. I was still thinking in my mind, are you sure this is him? How are you going to find out? Like, what if he's a fraud? Because you hear so much about, fraud babas and all.
From your dad and from your husband.
Yeah, I'm like, how do I know? Like, he's the one, he's the real one, or, what's going on? So I go there, and I was told that nobody is allowed to be there for more than 1.5 days. And each time, not more than 2 to 3 people at a time. And that's it. You don't have to give anything, like monetary, no donations, nothing, basically. But we have this tradition in India, like, whenever you go to meet a guru or somewhere, you take fruits with you. Like, you should not go empty-handed. So I bought some fruits and went there. And he came in, and I don't know what happened. Because this is not something I can describe in words, like there is no logic behind it. I never prepared anything like that. I looked at him, his eyes, and I was so sure, like 1000% sure, this is not the first time I'm seeing him. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a knowing for lifetimes. Like, he has always been there. Mm-hmm. It's not my first time. And I bowed down and I told him, everyone says I don't have father, mother, family. From today, you are my father and you are my mother. Mm-hmm. And he nodded. I don't know how I said those words. And he told me something that he had told my mother in a private conversation, which my mother had shared with me when I was born. Okay. I was born. Okay. So it couldn't have gone out with anybody else. So, okay, a validation if I'm looking for. That was one.
Cold reading. Okay.
Yeah. And when I was born, he had put a mala of lotus seeds on me, on the baby, as a blessing. And he was wearing the same mala and he took it off and again put it on me. As if, signs. Mm-hmm. These are like very subtle signs. And I lived there for 2 years after that.
Holy shit. Doing what? Cleaning the temple?
Sort of.
So they got free labor out of this. Okay, I'm a man of science. Go on. Tell me more about this.
Okay. And it's a village in the Himalayas, a very remote village, okay, where it doesn't even show up on Google Map. The average lifespan of every villager there is a minimum of 120 years.
Bullshit.
No.
How do you validate that? That's a statement.
Yeah. No. Very simple way of living.
Isn't it very interesting that all these interesting temples in the Himalaya, they don't allow scientific crews. The ones that they allow are very specific.
Trust me, actually, I realized there because obviously that was not an ashram well organized for people to come and live there.
It's not about ashram well organized.
So I had to live in a rented hut of another villager. Strangely, yeah, there were a lot of foreigners who would be coming there, from in the path of spirituality, who's who of the world. And if you believe in Harry Potter, X-Men, all of them exists there.
I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, but you should not, because you have to experience to believe it.
It's not experience to believe it. I mean, if I would go there, I seriously, this is a project that you've intrigued me. That I would work with my university, and we would go with a camera crew, and we would go kick ass and take names.
You could. I met people there. I remember there was one Russian girl. She could see people like an X-ray machine since her birth. And she could like see you and tell you exactly which organ of the body, where is the problem and what is happening, everything.
These are just cold reading. That's like me saying, you know what? I sense that you're a person who likes going out, but also likes to spend time by yourself.
No, I'm not talking in that way. You have to be there to experience it. And these villages, the amazing amount of knowledge they have on herbs and plants.
So does my mom.
It's crazy. They had, because the nearest hospital is 3.5 hours away by car. I mean, you have to listen to this with an open mind. It's not for everybody.
No, I understand.
But even for the audience.
I like these kind of discussions because these are the kind of things you don't normally hear.
Yeah, and like
so
for
why do they need a hospital?
Because they don't end up in hospital. What happens, for example, they said, this is how they find out. They said there is not one plant in the Himalayas that don't have a medicinal value. And for example, this is how they found out. The person I was living with in that, my landlord of my hut, he said, from one village to another, there was a marriage ceremony and they were sending, what do you call, lamb, like cut a lamb and they were sending it for a feast. And they wrapped it up in a leaf. When they received it and they opened it, they found that all the limbs and everything, they have joined together. And that's how they realized that that leaf has the quality of joining fractures, bones. So anybody gets a fracture, they make a paste of that leaf, they put it on, and it is healed. There are certain leaves, they said grass, that cuts through iron. And they have actually experimented on that. There were like numerous stories. And there are a lot of scientists who come there as well to take those herbs, take it out from there and try to,
duplicate the
redo it again in the lab condition. And a lot of them has failed. Apparently, it didn't work out. So they believe it is grace or the Himalayas, whatever it is. And they actually, last year I heard they had the first cancer in the village. And they said it's because of all the outsiders coming in right now. And if they cultivate only one crop throughout the year, they will eat only that one vegetable throughout the year. Like, they made such amazing beans. And I asked them, can I have beans one time when I went there? They're like, no, Didi, we cannot because this year we did not harvest beans. I'm like, you harvest and then you eat? Because I was so used to, go out in the shop and just buy it and make it at home. But this is the way they live, the most simple way of living, natural way of living. And I cannot tell you how delicious their lentil and rice and chapati, that simple meal is.
Yeah, I mean, you're working in a cold environment, cleaning with temples, like the shack, of course. I mean, yeah, of course it's going to taste delicious. It's the only thing that's warm out there.
No, it's just, and they would tell me, Didi, if you even go up in higher altitude, it tastes even better over there. I'm like, wow. So I would hear like amazing stories from them. There is the part where up to when, the Indian army allows you to go, after which you are not allowed. No one is allowed to go anymore.
And why not?
And nobody knows, apparently. There is so much of mystery still
So what happens if somebody just goes up and goes, screw the military?
Yeah, I heard stories from them as well.
And what happens then? They never came back?
Now all these things about yetis, do they exist? Do they not? They see creatures. Is it hallucination? Do they really exist? Who knows?
Sorry, the military just sits around there?
Yeah, they will not allow you after that anymore in that altitude.
And so what happens if you just bribe them and go up?
No. They will not.
And what happens if you just kill the guy and go up?
Because whoever has gone there, apparently, they don't come back.
Okay.
And that's when the government has, sealed off after that.
If people can go up to the not the Himalayas, what is it called? The highest mountain? Not
Mount Everest.
Mount Everest.
Because see, Himalayan range is huge and there is so much. I have met yogis who are actually 283 years old. They take 5 to 7 breaths in the entire day. There is so much to learn.
Why? What? I mean,
Because see, this is how it started.
do you want to be 200 years old?
If you're healthy.
Even if you're healthy, you're sitting alone up in a mountain.
Yeah, there's so much to do. So much. Because I'm not gonna lose this body. I can even go further in my meditative journey.
Sure, I understand that. But what's the point of sitting in this mortal pain for 200 years in an old body that's cricketed?
Because in your perception, it's mortal pain.
Yeah. And their
perception, their goal is something different.
And what's their goal? Enlightenment. you never asked where you want to go to? Or you can't say. You sworn to secrecy.
See, what I'll say is that this is what I love about this journey is that you never get bored. You know, Yogananda Paramhansa, Autobiography of a Yogi, he said that I thought that my ultimate goal is to reach the state of samadhi. The day I reached samadhi, I realized my journey has just begun.
Okay.
So there is more and more and more to it. Until, you take the next step, you don't know what the other step is.
Now you hear what that is.
Slowly and steadily. You don't see the entire journey at one go. You have to take step by step and keep moving forward. That's it. See, what I remember, this is how it started.
So wait. So you went there. Let me clear my mind here so I understand what's happening. You went there. You met this guy. He claims that he's your new mom and dad. You live in a shack. You clean the venue. You meet people with all kinds of like superpowers. Then you then decide, hey, you know what? I've had enough of Himalaya. I'm going to Dubai. How did that process happen?
I thought I was so happy in my solitude and my recluse. I thought this is it for me. There's no way I'm going back to the cities and this world anymore. Because when you are there, you are like going back for what? Is it really necessary? All these air-conditioned rooms with jobs and it felt as if everybody is in their own shackle, golden, silver, diamond, whatever. And they're asking you, hey, come and join me as well. So it was just unparalleled, the way of living there.
It's so different. Okay.
The beginning was hard. Yeah. I remember the first day, my very first day there, I was sitting there and they brought in something to make a bed. I thought it was a table. I thought they didn't have a bed extra. So I asked the lady, you don't have a bed? She said, Gaon ka charpai aise hi hota hai. Means like in a village, this is how a bed is.
Okay.
Which I thought was a table. So basically, it's like hard surface, there is no soft mattress, no comfort. There is no attached bathroom. And cold in the Himalayan winter is like unimaginable. And there is no heater. I asked for a heater and they said, what heater? Because there is so much of snowfall, even the electricity wire snaps. So
why do they have electricity?
Days we don't even have electricity.
But why do they need electricity though? Why do they need electricity though?
To have light, a bulb. Light means not like this light, one bulb in the room.
No need. You've got no need. Forget it. You have window.
But imagine the cold in Himalayan winter and no electricity. And it's very, very tough. Even when they bring the bread for you, the roti for you, within 30 seconds it goes so cold.
But this is the part where I'm so interested in, because you're not explaining it to a guy who's lived in the city all his life. Like I've been to the wilderness. My family comes from the fucking desert. I've been to the desert. I slept in the desert. I've hunted lizard. I've hunted birds. None of it is a pleasant experience.
Yeah, it was not. It was not.
You don't sit there. You don't sit there in the desert and go, how relaxing life is. You sit there and you go,
absolutely.
Life is fucking hard.
Yeah.
So I don't see like
it was no comfort, no physical comfort.
I don't see this as a golden cage. I see this as shelter. So when you're telling me like, oh, why go back? I was like, why go there?
But now I can say when I live in Dubai for too long, I'm a fish out of water. I have to go back there.
You're going back and forth again?
I keep going back and forth. Every 2-3 months I'm there.
And what do you do for 2-3 months? How long do you stay there?
I stay there now from Dubai. When I go back there, I stay there for like 10 days. That's like the max I can because of my commitments here. But if I don't go there, I'm dead.
Okay, and so what do you do?
So there is something that I'm getting there, obviously.
I never understood the spirituality stuff because there's Aborigines in Australia. There's nomadic people in sub-Saharan Africa and in Brazil. Yet nobody goes there and goes like,
But for them, they love it there. From there, the people who go to Delhi and Bombay, for work, to make more money, they come back. They can't stay in the city for too long. And I ask them why. And they're like, in 2 days, the mental balance is gone in the cities.
So why leave the mountain at all?
Yeah, they don't. They go back again in the mountains. I've never seen anybody who has sustained in the city.
Okay.
After that.
And they sit in the mountain and then...
There is a addiction of nature. That's a very understatement, addiction of nature. It cannot be just nature because nature you can find anywhere.
Okay.
What is it?
Okay.
There is something.
So I'm assuming there's multiple Babas that live up this mountain. Not just him.
And they don't give a shit about coming in public.
Okay.
Because all that you see, the spirituality of India, at the most, you go to Rishikesh, Haridwar, very commercial.
There's a lot of Babas.
With lot of Babas, lot of yoga teachers teaching you 200 hours of course. And it ends there. And in a way, much later I realized maybe that's like the veil of India, to go through all that population, the pollution, the chaos and the commercialism of the Babas, to find that gem which is meant only for a few who can pierce through that veil and sustain. And
that's such a sales pitch.
No, it's not.
It's such a sales pitch.
It's not.
We're selling exclusivity. And
because, it is exclusive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It is exclusive.
Exactly, because it's a sales pitch. I mean,
because when you go to the yogis, right, and you talk about self-realization, I am a soul, you know what? I got scolded. And he's like, what soul? Have you even seen a soul? He's like, the first step, he was like, you want your mind to think one way, the mind goes in another way. Because you have never built a relation with your mind. Like, if I don't know you and I come up to you in the street and I said, hey, can you give me like $1,000? You're like, hey, do I know you? Who are you? Why should I give you?
Okay.
But when I have built a relation with you, you will be like, of course, Navana. You probably, if I've built an amazing relation with you, you won't even ask me why. You will just give it to me. He's like, first, build that relation with your mind. Then only your mind will take the command. Otherwise, why will your mind take the command? First is the mastery of that mind. Second comes the mastery of the life force energy.
Okay.
The pranas, the chi, or whatever you call that's running through you.
Okay.
Without which you are dead. And that mastery of life force energy, which I was telling you when I've met this yogi, 283 years old, they take 5 to 7 breaths in the entire day, that they have that control of that life force energy. He would tell me, tell all of us, like, just give me an hour, and he would go inside the river and we are sitting there for 2 hours. And after 2 hours, he meditated underwater for 2 hours, holding his breath, and he came out. This is like easy for them. So that's the mastery of the life force energy. He said, once you master that, then comes the soul. Before that, you are not even qualified to talk about the soul and I am a soul. It's step by step. Now everybody is like, I want to study the medicine without studying the ABC. Everybody is like, you are anxious, you are worried, meditate. You cannot meditate when you are worried. You need to have a certain amount of peace in your life to be able to close your eyes. So when I was doing my doctorate, it was effects of meditation in human mind. And I was a meditation teacher first because I love to meditate. 3 hours of meditation was the minimum that we had to do at that time. And that's when he told me, don't teach people about meditation. Meditation is enclosed within the upper middle class and upper class of the society. Teach people how to go beyond the daily stress, the daily worries and anxieties of life. That's the basic. And I remember the first time I met him, at that time though, I was like hopeless person, hopeless soul wandering around. I told him that, everyone is living for somebody. So they're living for their children, they're living for their old parents, they're living for their husband, wife. I don't have anybody to live for. I don't have a purpose to wake up in tomorrow morning. Like, to get out of the bed. When you wake up in the morning, you are staring at the ceiling. You're like, what for? Why should I leave the bed? What? There is nothing to do for me. Like, I was in that hopeless state. And he asked me, Manusya kiske liye jeeta hai? For whom do a man live for? I'm like, I don't know. He said, for his own self. Ask a person who doesn't have the means to get one meal of the day, to what extent he will go to get that meal.
I agree. You can't plan for tomorrow if your house is on fire. I'm with you 100%. And I'm with you that you make your choices and you make your reasons for why you're alive. Everyone does. For some it's family, for some it's work, for everyone with themselves, right? For me personally, I'd like to have on my gravestone, greatest podcaster ever. That's for me, right? And if I die with that title, I'm happy. And if I don't, it happens, whatever. So I get where you're coming from. I don't know. I don't know if what I'm hearing right now. So this guy is what's after the soul then? So soul is the thing after you calm your mind, meditate, upper class soul.
First your mind, yes. Building the relation. You want your mind to think one way. The mind takes your command. Then comes the life force energy, understanding that, controlling that, mastering that. And that's when I think when you read books like, the Book of Living and Dead, the Tibetan Book of Living and Dead, or, Autobiography of a Yogi, these kind of books, you see examples of many monks, many masters who could control their lifespan.
So which stage are you currently in then? Where are we at here? Teach us poor mortal. Where are you at?
See, this is again something that is a Himalayan teaching, is that where you are at spiritually, that is never revealed. Like you never reveal anybody how much is there in your bank account.
Oh my God.
Because this is a treasure. The person in front of you should never be able to even guess where you are at. You will not tell anybody, right? This is what I have in my bank account.
Well, you have to tell the government.
Do you always?
Yeah, you do. Otherwise, you're in jail.
I'm from India.
Yeah? Well, if you don't, you burn black money then. That's what that happens.
Well, that's your secret, right?
I'm happy to tell you. We'll share information if you want.
So perhaps the government is your guru. Perhaps the government is somebody up there with whom you're communicating when you're sitting for meditation.
Listen,
whoever is up there.
I'll share if you share. I'll share if you share.
I cannot. But there is something, amazing analogy somebody gave me once, Sadhak.
Yeah.
He said, somebody who has no idea of fashion designing, you might be carrying a super high-five, like a high-flying brand bag with you, and person will have no idea what you are carrying. But somebody who has a knowledge and experience of fashion designing will know the stitching, will know the craft, the workings of the bag, and will know exactly what worth bag you are carrying.
Be that as it may, so you left the temple after how long? Did they send you out on a mission, or did you just wake up one day and said, you know what, this is enough for me?
Actually, I came to Dubai, I would say, I'm the COVID resident of Dubai. Because I came here for 1 month. I used to come, like once in a while, because I would have clients always from before in Dubai.
For what, modeling?
No, because I was doing spiritual science workshops, remember I was telling you.
Yeah.
So I am already a practitioner of like 20 different modalities. I was doing a lot of past life regression, inner child, different therapies, meditation, teaching. So
Okay.
I was into it for many years.
Okay. So what's the difference between what you'd learned in Himalaya and this, what is it called? Past life regression?
These are therapies.
Are they separate in
They are not
practice?
spirituality.
Okay.
These are therapies.
And
They're
so,
techniques.
And so when you take someone through a past life technique, I don't know what technical
Past life regression
my
therapy,
apologies. Does the person remember how much of that session? Do they wake
All
up
of it.
and be
All
like,
of it.
I know 100 years worth or however long their lifespan was? And how far? Is it just like one generation ago or 5 or 6 or 10?
See, past life can be even 5 minutes before is your past life.
You mean you were born and then died immediately as a baby? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
but I work a lot in the womb memory when you are in your mother's womb. As a baby, as a fetus.
As it now or your past life?
No.
As it now?
This life, we don't
Okay.
have to go 500 years before.
I don't know.
This life, when you're in your mother's womb,
Okay.
as a fetus,
Okay.
you absorb a lot from your mother's thought processes and emotions.
Okay.
And most people are not even aware of it. You know, like, I'll give you an example. I had this one guy I met in Himalayas. He was from Canada. And he had a divorce.
It's always
And-
these gurus that go there, but go
Yeah.
on.
What happened to him? 2 divorces he had in his life, and both of them were very abusive, dominating wives. Like, his wife was literally sit with like this with a leg on top and be like, Dennis, bring me a coffee. You know? So after the second marriage, he decided, I'm going to be a monk. I'm going to the Himalayas. I'm going to be spiritual. And, you know,
Isn't it easy
marriage
just
is
being
not.
gay?
Yeah. Probably.
Okay.
So, no, actually what happened, the third one, and he started dating, she turned out to be lesbian, she told him. So he had the shock of his life. He came to the Himalayas. I was like, okay,
I like
this
how
is-
he went back to the world. He was like, now I've learned it.
I'm like, you know what, this is not the reason to be a monk. Let's find the real reason. you
Okay.
know. And when he went back, in his childhood, he saw that he was like 3 years old. And you know, he had 2 big sisters. And when you are like siblings, you wrestle with each other. So he was wrestling with both his sisters, and both the girls pinned him down on the floor.
Sure.
And the thought that passed his mind is, girls are so dominating. His subconscious caught that thought and froze it in that moment. And that is the thought that he's continuing till he's 45 years old. Already went through 3 relationships.
And so
And that's the kind of women he's attracting in his life.
and how many sessions did you go with him?
1.
So one session and he knew the cause immediately.
Yeah.
And then what was the therapy then?
He won't be attracting that energy anymore. Whoever, whatever incident, person you're attracting in your life, that energy, it resonates with the energy you are at the moment, not what you want to be.
So can you read energies?
Yeah, I can. Of
Okay.
course.
I mean,
Of course I can. I can, of course.
what do you mean? What do I know? I have never studied this world.
Everyone can read energies. Everyone.
You mean the energies like a vibe?
You know, even in a room where there has been a lot of fight, arguments, you enter and you feel like you can slice through the air.
Yeah.
You feel that energy.
Yeah.
Because there is no space between us, you
Okay.
know. There is energy flowing between us.
Okay.
Called that morphogenetic field.
Okay. The magnetic field that resonates between 2 individuals.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always their energy. I'll give you another example. This was super interesting. So this lady comes to my workshop,
Okay.
and with a new boyfriend. She already had a past
Before Himalaya?
marriage.
After Himalaya?
No, this was...
Just so
when
I
it
understand
was-
what
because
level of
it's
knowledge you had.
Yeah. No, this was in between somewhere. No, I think it was before the Himalayas.
Okay.
Yeah. So this lady comes in the workshop, right, with her new boyfriend, and he was a lovely guy, like, you know, financially stable, good to have a conversation with, good looking, everything that you would normally want in a man as a woman, you know. So I told her, congratulations, you know, he seems very nice. And you know what she answered? She said, yeah, it's boring.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, that's an interesting response. After an abusive marriage, you should be thinking this is heaven. But clearly that is not the case for her. So when we were doing the session, she went back in her mother's womb, right? Now, during the pregnancy time, her mother was going through a lot of stress and anxiety. Now, there are hardly any women who goes through a very stable and happy throughout pregnancy time. Most women, whatever the conditions are, they don't feel supported or stress or anxiety. It is a roller coaster ride. So what happened? Even before the baby is born, the fetus is absorbing all that cortisol, which is high because of the stress level, through the amniotic fluid. So when these babies are born, their cortisol set point is already very high. So these children, grown up as adults, they will be always attracting challenging boss, challenging spouses, challenging relationships. Okay. Anything in life has to be challenging. You give them peace, it will be boring.
Okay.
So we had to rework on her cortisol set point.
And how did you do that?
That we work from the subconscious mind.
And how long does this process take with her?
Minimum 1.5 hours, 2 hours.
Okay.
And I've even had session 3 hours.
And how long does the results then last?
Forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
And okay. I mean, again, I don't know any of this information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because see, the subconscious, that's what the manufacturing unit is.
Okay.
If I tell you today that, tell me about your life, you're going to speak what? 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours at the most? Your life hasn't been 3 hours. It has been all these years. Now, can you actually speak for another 30 years, 40 years, 50 years about your life?
Probably, if I really wanted to.
I don't think so, because you won't remember. You won't even probably remember this day 2 years ago, what exactly you had for lunch.
Very good memory. I have an incredibly good memory.
In spite of that, I bet you won't be able to remember.
I don't remember people's names and faces, but I can almost remember each year, and I can remember pieces of information I've learned.
Pieces of information.
I can promise you, I can sit with you for easily 2 years.
Not every second of it.
Easily.
So just because, we don't remember, I can bet for myself, I can vouch for myself, I cannot tell, every second of my 43 years of life. Not possible for me. But that doesn't mean that they did not happen. Okay, so many things happen in so many moments, and they all become cellular impressions. They're all stored in the cells. All they need is a trigger to come out. So that's the manufacturing unit. So when we go in those cellular memories and we make the tweak from there, your entire reality outside also changes.
So how does one go through that process? What they talk about, whatever happened is an issue. How do they even know what difficulties they went through as a womb? You just ask them a question. So how do you feel like?
Yeah, because when you are going,
is it like hypnosis? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hypnotherapy is one way of it. You enter that, you cross, because your conscious thinking mind is that the mind, sitting as the gate man making all the noise. The moment you bypass it and then you enter the subconscious, that's the warehouse.
Okay.
With everything stored in there. Then you can access all the memories. You can remember very clearly what your mother is thinking. You can hear your mother. You can feel her emotions. So you know exactly what is you are absorbing.
If you're down for it, we'll bring Dan in and we'll go through a session.
Yeah.
Maybe today, maybe another time, but let's plan it out and we can put it on camera and we can hear.
So that's past life. That's womb memory.
Okay.
Then I also go, even beyond that, before you took the birth.
What?
Life between life. That's called LBL therapy.
Oh, okay. And people remember that?
Yeah, you'll be surprised.
And what do they remember? Sound,
cellular
feelings?
memory.
How does it process?
It comes a lot it can come in telepathic memory. See, these are experiences.
Memory.
Yeah, these are experiences like it's not like a movie screen that you see yourself. You are there. And you are experiencing it. Now, the theory behind this is that before we are born, we are already making the blueprint of this life.
Okay.
In the soul stage.
Okay.
That I'm going to go through this life because I want to learn these lessons. And for that lessons, I need these incidents to happen.
Okay. This sounds oddly familiar. There's that thing where people talk about that these things, like the same thing will keep occurring to you until you learn it. Lesson.
Yeah.
That's the universe's way of...
It's like, you're in a school, you are not passing the exam again and again. You have to go through the same exam.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. This makes sense so far. Okay.
So after you're born, the law of amnesia hits and we forget everything about it. And then we start asking, why is this happening to me? So we go back to that stage and we find out, why did you choose this way? Why did you choose this incident, this bad relationship, this bad boss? What happened there? So we clear a lot from there. Then comes past life. Past life comes a lot later.
So do you have to go through womb to in between life to then go through past life?
Yeah.
So you can't
step by step.
You can't just go, like hot wire and go straight to past life.
Most of the times, no, it's not recommended.
Okay. So it is possible, just not recommended.
Yeah, it's not recommended.
Okay. And again, is it just hypnosis or how?
Yes, through hypnotherapy again, you can go to past lifetimes. This is actually a very interesting thing that I will share with you.
Sure, I'm interested why you can't do it.
Off the record.
Yeah.
But you will see how it comes out. But anyway, I'll tell you, because there are certain cultures in the world who do not believe in past lives, right?
Christianity, Islam, a few of them.
Yeah. In Hinduism, a lot of past life has been talked about. In Buddhism also, Lord Buddha has talked about his past lifetime memories. Now, this is my personal experience, I'll tell you. Once during like a meditative state, it happened to me and it continued for 3 days for me because I get all these bouts at times of 3 days when I can't meet anybody, and something happens which I cannot explain, right? I'm sure you understand. And I could see visions like a movie. Okay, so I'm seeing for example, a past lifetime where I'm seeing myself as a 75-year-old man in 1830, and then I'm seeing myself 1836, a 7-year-old girl. And I'm like, this does not match. Like, time-wise, it doesn't make sense. And how is that happening? How can I be, 7-year-old and then 75-year-old like 3 years before? And that's when it hit me that maybe what we are talking about past life is not actually past, but parallel lifetimes.
Okay, interesting.
Because time is not linear. And we are talking about time only in this planet Earth, right? Beyond it, there is no time and space. We know about it.
Okay.
The concept is different. Even when you are going into a deep meditative state, so many times you come out of it, you're like, okay, it's been only 15 minutes, but then you realize, oh, it's been already 1.5 hours. Or every time I do a session with my clients, they come out of it, I tell them it's 2 hours. They're like, you're joking. I thought it's been 20 minutes. Because they have crossed that time and space. This is what we say. And that's why in meditation also we say, the more you meditate, you age slower. Because your body has actually aged that 20 minutes and not 2 hours in that time.
Okay.
Right.
So that's how you become 200 and something years old then. Okay.
You are somehow, skipping this linear time over here. So that's when I realized that what we are calling past life is actually parallel lifetimes because they are happening at the same time. And I'll give you one example of this, which is again, it's a bit of complex kind of, concept to understand.
I'm processing it so far.
Yeah. So multiple times it has happened to me. For my own experience, I'm saying, I have been in a past lifetime. Okay. First, when I came to Dubai here, I felt very stuck last year. I told you I'm a COVID resident of Dubai. So I came here for 1 month. COVID happened. Lockdown happened. India was in a terrible state. There was no way to go back. So I'm like, how long am I going to stay with a friend? I ended up taking an apartment here, and it has been 1.5 years now I'm living in Dubai. So when I was in Dubai last year, I felt very stuck. It was very difficult to adapt here. Lack of nature. From Himalayas, Dubai is a huge difference.
Okay.
I felt I'm not fit to be out in the society, to talk to people. I didn't know what to do with myself. And nature has such a big influence on human mind. I never had that idea until I came here. That lack of nature, when you wake up in the morning and from my 15th floor, I see stretches of sand. No life force energy. Actually, that would be the wrong thing to say, but lack of life force energy.
The Bedouins lived in the desert all their fucking life, and they went back and forth. It's
a different kind of living. Plus, it's different here.
It's not like the desert has no life. There is life.
There's life.
Gazelles, there's wolves.
Yeah.
There is
life, but as I said,
lizards.
The lush abundance of nature in the greenery. The kind of life force energy it infuses in you, it's very different than in a desert. Desert gives you different characteristics, different strengths. And I felt very stuck here for some time. And when I went in my subconscious mind, I saw part of me stuck in a, what do you call it in English? It was inside a well. When I looked inside the well, she was stuck in there. The mud that pulls you in, that you cannot... No. It's a mud. It's like a slimy thing that you cannot even swim across. You can't move.
Swamp?
Kind of, it slowly pulls you down.
Okay.
But you cannot move forward to any direction. Okay. So I see myself like that. Okay. And, the kind of how I saw myself was like you see in horror movies, those spirits. And when I'm talking to this girl and I'm telling her, try to make it towards the wall, get the support, move out. There are, your guides to help you. This girl was absolutely without any faith. She's like, what light? What guides? They don't even exist. I've been stuck here forever.
Okay.
And that was such a stark contradiction to who I believe I am, because I am every day meditating, to a certain extent, in the path of spirituality. Faith is such a big thing for years for me. And there is one part of me who has absolutely no faith, no belief in God, connection, divinity, angels, light, nothing. Stuck in that mud, the swamp. And when that girl was released finally through the sessions, that feeling in me being stuck, it went away. My work started moving, projects started moving, everything started moving. And that's not just one episode. It has happened many times where I have seen in a past lifetime, I'm stuck somewhere, which in a way we can say fragment of the soul. And once you complete that, heal that, and reunite with it, kind of liberate it, a lot in your life changes over here. These are all like
a few questions. One is, how do you know that it's a past life and not that you're seeing it through your ancestry?
No, ancestors are different.
There's a whole...
That's a different therapy again.
That's a whole different thing in its own right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. And you feel that the emotional concept with the imagination of being stuck in a well or mud or whatever else, the moment that blockage is released, that has a return effect that you see in reality. Right? That's what you're explaining so far.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to process it the best I can.
You're making sense. It is like a return effect. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a cold hard machine. That's how I am.
Yeah, because there's so much in the universe, we have to learn to explore.
I don't know if
Keep exploring. That's it.
listen. I don't have a God complex. I don't believe there are.
Again, talking about God, that's another interesting thing that
Before we go into
one experience.
before we go into God, where does it end? Spirituality in the sense, do you believe in magic? Do you believe in witches? Do you believe in Yeti? Do you believe in I'm not trying to be silly. I'm trying to understand.
See, anything that we don't understand by logic becomes a magic.
Okay. So you do think that witches are real in witchcraft practice, or is that not real? I don't know. For me, I don't know the difference.
It depends on your perception.
Okay.
Whether you call a witch or a master. Whatever you don't understand, it's unknown, it creates the fear within us.
Because
right?
most Babas are men. All of them are men, right?
Actually, no. The most Babas who are projected in the society and acclaimed and given recognition by the society are men. But for example, in Hinduism scriptures, if you go, look into the history, there are a lot of women sadhus who were like masters in those days.
Okay.
And during the Vedic times, they would have, debate with the men scholars on Vedas at the same time.
Because the Vedas are mostly written for men. Yoga practice is meant for men.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It specifies in the Vedas the yoga is for men.
No. Absolutely not.
We will disagree on this.
Which Vedas did you read? Which one?
I had 5 or 6 different scholars on the podcast that are yogis, and they all say roughly the same thing.
I would not agree with them at all.
How big is that yoga book? It's that huge one that's existing.
See, Vedas, first of all, there are 4 Vedas, right?
Yes.
We all know about. And there are certain yogic practices that women are not allowed to do because of the biology of the women.
Exactly. That's exactly what they said as well. They said that women, because they go through a menstrual cycle, therefore they're weak.
Yes.
5 days a month.
The reproductive system, how the biology of a woman is. There are certain hatha yoga practices that women are not allowed to do.
Exactly.
But that's a very small part of yoga.
Okay.
Right? The hatha yoga.
Okay.
And the wisdom, no one has a monopoly of it. Because in Sanskrit, when they said putra, the word putra, originally it meant both sons and daughters.
Okay.
Over time, they made putra means son and putri means daughter.
Okay.
So, and they made it a ritual that only son can do the cremation for the father, the funeral rites, women cannot do it. But originally, it was not that way.
Only we could go back in time.
Only if we could go back in time.
And ask them exactly, hey guys, can you make it a little bit more clear?
Yeah. See, that's why they say history is his story.
Mm-hmm. History is an art and not a science.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. So, okay, so most of the guys that you find in the Himalayan mountains and stuff like that, that's all men as well. Monasteries.
There are men. No, there are women. There are women monks as well.
Really?
Yes. Just 2 days back also, I was watching one Tibetan monastery on YouTube documentary.
Okay.
There's a monastery just full of women monks.
Okay.
So in Himalayas also there are women.
Aren't they called nuns usually?
Well, in Buddhism, they don't call nuns in Christianity word, so they are monks as well. In Hinduism, we call sadhu and sadhvi. Sadhvi is the word for it.
Interesting.
Women. So they're there as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because see, for women also, in a way, devotion comes very easily.
It does?
Yeah, than men.
I don't know. I think women fall quicker in love and quicker out of love. For men, it takes a lot longer to fall in love.
In a way,
fall out of love.
First of all, everyone has that male energy, female energy, right?
Yeah.
There are some women you will find also the male energy is higher. And there are some men also you will find the female energy is higher. So in that way, if we are saying men or women biologically or energetically, that also makes a difference.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's society today has put a very big emphasis of women being masculinized, right? Whether it's be by clothing, culture, expectations in society. I hear all the time, like toughen up, girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you noticed one thing? See, the female energy is all about nurturance, nourishment. Otherwise, they will not be able to have a baby in the first case. That's how nature has made them. But lately, I don't know if you have noticed, but a lot of my clients that I get, friends around that I see, lot of women have problems with reproductive system, giving birth at the first go. There are more cases of miscarriages and, PCODs. A lot of that is happening.
I agree with you. I think, but I would take it even a step further. I think there's a lot of women who got sold the lie in that, especially girls in their mid-30s. Yeah. They're starting to wake up and realize they don't finding any guys their age. Yeah. Right? Because a guy who's in his mid-30s isn't going to date a 30-year-old. He's going to date a 27, 26-year-old. Yeah. He wants to capture youth. Yeah. Right? And a lot of women as well, I think, have, and worst of all, I think they got sold the lie of not needing a family. You don't have to have kids. You don't have to partake. You don't have to have a family or that knit connection. You can just have your friends. Yeah. And I see it with my mom's friends. This poor lady, she's in her 70s. Most of her friends are gone. She never had a family. Never wanted kids. Yeah. And now she wakes up at 10 o'clock, goes and cooks some lunch, and then goes back to bed again. And I asked her about it, and she just starts crying in tears and saying, I'm totally alone. You know, I've got nobody. And if I didn't have my godchildren, being a godmother, and of course, most of them have left and they don't have that close connection. I see her once a year. Yeah. It's difficult.
It is. It is.
And she really regrets it. She really wishes she could go back in time and could have been started a family. And she every time I talk to her.
And you know what? I think people don't prepare at all for that time to come. Everybody takes it for granted. Yes, it happens. Old age happens, death happens. But it will happen to me. Nobody actually integrates that.
I have that conversation with my mom, and she talks about it, how in the end of the day, me and my brother are her support system. Yeah. When she gets to the stage where she can't take care of herself anymore. Yeah. Yeah. That's who you're left with. And she's really terrified of the idea of going to a retirement home. And she's really terrified of it. And she made me swear that that we take care of her.
Yeah. 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 I totally agree with her. And one shouldn't have to go through that.
You'd think so, but a lot of people aren't. They
see. This is the thing. You asked me, right? Where am I at? Every day when I sit for my sadhana, I'm preparing for that last moment of my life.
Okay.
That is my goal.
Okay.
How I will leave this body.
Okay. And do you want to switch to another body, or do you hey, you know what? I'm out.
I would like to continue what I'm doing, to sharpen it more and more. And for that, if it requires another body, then I'll have to come back to another body, because I'm already making so many debts with other people as well that I have to finish off again. The story never ends. I thought when my mom passed away, I learned a big lesson. I thought that is it. But it's never it. The story never ends.
I think you can cut your karmic ties while still being in the mortal plane. And
You can if you don't have any unresolved issues anymore. But if you do, it carries on the story.
I agree. But I mean, this is the decision you have to make. Do you go be a Baba in a mountain and cut off your karmic ties and follow that path?
But see, even above the mountain, you don't cut off karmic ties.
I think if
physically you might.
I think even emotionally and mentally.
getting a divorce. So many people get divorce, but in their mind, do they actually get the divorce? No.
Yeah, but if they process it, then that's it.
Yeah, but how many have been able to process it fully? Because we are humans. We have emotions. Sometimes you need a little help from outside.
I've always seen from both my consciousness all the way to my body as being a total machine. I've never looked at it from an emotional perspective. Neither do I have it, nor do I want it, nor do I feel it.
But I'll tell you what, there's people who think that, make your decisions by your head than your heart. I'm more logical than emotional.
No, that I disagree with.
The basis of reasoning is emotions. And there was a very interesting experiment that was done on it. Antonio Damasio, he did it. And those participants he took whose emotional center of the brain was damaged, they could not make a decision whether to have chicken or fish for dinner. So even the basis of reasoning is your emotions.
The end point of logic is illogic. I agree with you on that statement. And decisions are.
And here we are not talking about you and me. We are talking about the entire population.
I understand. You were trying to be insulting.
Because the whole advertising world is running on it.
No, I agree with you. I mean, everything, sex, violence sells, right? And that's what they portray in advertisement in order to get you to purchase something.
Yeah. I mean, if we are doing too much of meditation and we are reaching that contentment and fulfillment, then this entire capitalist world is not going to work.
That's true. That's very true. But so I can tell you from my own personal, I wake up smiling. I wake up more happy than I could ever be. I get to meet people such as yourself.
Because you're a gypsy, and that's the best life.
I don't know. I'm a gypsy. I think my family comes from gypsies.
You are like a monk. How the monks go from jungle to jungle. You're also going like that.
I appreciate it. No, I've never felt attached to a single place. I don't care.
Yeah, that's how you are. You are the gypsy.
Exactly.
You are a monk in your own space.
I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah.
A monk of science. I like
that. But
that.
then you cannot put your standard with other people who are out there.
No, I agree. I think everyone has to live their truth and live their life. Not everyone processes things the same way.
Yeah.
I agree with.
I call them a snoozer. Some people with the first alarm they wake up, and some people keep on putting it on another snoozer and another snoozer. And a lot of people are like that.
Yeah, I never understood this concept of like having regret. I've never felt it. I've never gone through it. Every decision I've made in my life, I've never looked back on it and went, oh, I wish I could have done. I was like, no.
Because you've done it.
Exactly. You're proud and you own up to it and you move from it, right?
But there's so many people who live in that box, because your parents tell you in a certain way, you get straight A's in school and your life will be successful. And then your society tells you in a certain way, see, this person's son your neighbor's son is doing this. So you should study this and become this. So there is always, they are living up to someone else's standards, someone else's dreams all the time.
Never had that.
Many people are
never had that. I remember as being a child looking at the kind of life people were living and being like, nope. I never cared about other people's success. I've never seen someone like doing something better than what I do and then go, oh, I wish. No. I've never tried to compete with anyone. It's so bizarre. I like when you're telling me these stories about people having their wives control their lives, or having a girl who's in a good relationship but just wants to be mishandled and being a bad relationship. These to me it's like we're speaking different languages.
Yeah, but these are different, aspects of psychology as well. Because a lot of times people know that this is not good for them, but they keep on repeating the same pattern again and again. I have tons of clients like that. Because it's like a security blanket for them. It is bad, but what comes next, which is predictable and which is safe. Than to take that leap and you don't know what's out there for you.
Interesting. And so how does that come into what your basis point is. So do you own a practice here in the UAE or Dubai?
No, I practice in India as well. I have clients in London as well. So all over.
So what's the situation? You were trying to start an institute? Were you teaching people?
No, I don't have time for institute.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm working a lot with the youth right now, and with a lot of, university kids, college kids, because now you can see, when we were kids, things were much more predictable. Mm-hmm. We would look up to the adults and be like, what to do? They would tell us, this is how life works.
Okay.
But now, even us as adults, we don't know what is there tomorrow. And all this, especially when I went for my first TEDx talk this year in a university in India, there were 4,500 students.
I remember that you mentioned this in LinkedIn. Yeah. The TEDx.
I was really, it touched me. Truly, I was like, these are good kids. Are there 4,500 jobs out there? Mm-hmm. I want to do something for them. So, so I'm now making, 18 to 24 years old, emotional mastery for young entrepreneurs, emotional mastery for students, different courses. And working on that.
Okay, so
Then I have my clients also who come for personal sessions. So that's it.
So, okay, let me try to define this correctly. In your personal sessions for your clients, what are usually the kind of clientele? What kind of things do they want to resolve? Is it marriage?
Anything from relationship, marriage, parents, children, relationship. No, I even got clients who came and asked me, can you help me murder my husband?
Impressive.
I'm like, no, not there yet. But yeah, so that abundance issues, money issues, you will be surprised. Even money issues, like this gentleman came to me in India. He had an issue every time he would earn 100,000 rupees. Somehow the money will not stay with him. Some emergency will happen, something, the cash will just flow out. And it has been happening to him for years. So, did a session. He went back to his childhood when he was a little boy. And his father came back home one night, overjoyed. And his parents are celebrating together, he sees, because his father has made 100,000 rupees. And his subconscious mind took it, froze it. 100,000 rupees is the ultimate goal. And that's a huge thing to celebrate.
Okay.
When he came out of it, he realized 100,000 rupees in today's times is nothing. In those times, it was a big deal. And that is what, every time he reached 100,000, his brain just stops there. His mind puts a, wall over there. This is it. Done.
Okay.
You have made the maximum. So again, he had to redefine, he had to work, reframe the whole concept of it, abundance, and crossed it.
And now what? He's earning 200,000.
Yeah. No, more than that. That block is gone, that every time 100,000 happens and everything goes away. That block is gone. So anything in life, you wouldn't even imagine, right, that such a small conversation between parents can affect your life in such a way later.
There's that saying in Buddhism, right? Kill your teachers, kill your parents, kill your God. So
Yeah, I actually sometimes think, what if somebody, a baby is born and they are not taught anything?
They are. They're called...
what do you think will happen?
They're called animal children. They take characteristics of animals. It's fascinating. There was a whole book about them. I forgot there's a specific name for them. Yeah. It's a book published by 18...
Like if they're not told what is right, what is wrong...
children abandoned in the forest.
Not forest, I'm saying
But they're abandoned in forest and they take animal characteristics. There's wolf children, monkey children. There's a whole book about it. It's fascinating.
Like if they're not taught about, what I'm saying is the norms of the society. That this is good, this is bad, marriage is required, this is what your duties are.
But
simply being a human, what it would be like.
No, we go through a process of evolution, not just biologically, but also psychically. And culturally we attack other cultures, and the best culture that survives dominates, And if the Western culture in the early 17 to 1900 wasn't the best culture, it would have not been able to conquer India. It would have not been able to conquer Asia all the way to Japan, right? And if the Mongolian society wasn't the most powerful society in culture, it would not have been able to conquer all the way to Turkey. And the same with the Ottoman Empire, and the same with the Roman Empire.
That's how nature is. It goes in cycles.
It's cyclical.
Up and down.
It's cyclical. And there are culture. This is the problem with a lot of people who have this identity of retaining culture. Like, it's not beneficial to the community. So either you adapt and you move forward and you evolve, or you die. And there's an interesting concept, and a lot of people don't want to, like you said, move forward.
Yeah. Retain what is beneficial, what is good, what makes sense.
Don't worry about it. I think
but adapt. Because, we were talking about this one thing, like from hundreds of years till now, everything has changed. Financial system has changed. Administration system has changed. Our way of living has changed. But the marriage concept hasn't changed.
Do you want to know something that's really crazy I just recently learned about? Your total life expectancy hasn't changed in almost 5,000 years. The amount of age that a human being can achieve between 5,000 years and today has not changed at all. Just your median life expectancy, meaning when is your average death, has just increased. So people back then could have been 100 like they can be today 100. So biologically speaking, from 5,000 years...
It has, and it makes total sense what you're saying, because in Ayurveda, it is always said that you are born not with the number of years, but number of breaths. So again, that life force energy, the more stressful life you have, you can see with your emotions, your pattern of breathing changes. When you're angry, it's shallow breathing. When you are more meditative, you're calm. It's longer inhalation, exhalation.
So why do all these like Babas and all this, they all smoke like these pipes and whatever else?
Yeah.
For what?
We had the conversation about this as well, about, shamans and yogis of India. And
they don't smoke pipes in Tibet?
Yeah, as well. Yeah. They do. I can tell you, yes, from my experience, what I've seen, when you do smoke certain herbs, what you are sitting with your spine straight for 3 hours, you can sit at a stretch for 7 hours.
Interesting. Okay.
Because your energy movement, the main medium channel is your spine. And their ultimate goal to smoke that, the yogis and the monks, is to enter the void, shunyata.
Interesting, because you see smoking in all cultures. You find them in Aborigines in Australia, you find them in Africa, in untouched civilization. For whatever reason, smoking and humans have...
Even the shamans use it to enter different dimensions.
And what do they do in those dimensions? They just look around?
That was the question my guru had asked me, because I wanted to go to Peru and, try ayahuasca. I wanted permission from him. And he said, but why do you want to go in that dimension? I said, no, for curiosity, to experience, to see. And he said, if you're at home and suddenly some people from outside street enters and said, oh, just for curiosity, I came in. Would you like it? I said, no. And he said, exactly, the shamans go in because they have a purpose to get something out of there. What purpose do you have?
Say hello, meet up, sit down, have a coffee.
It won't be welcoming for them, apparently.
There's a whole other kind of like thing where people talk about, what are they called? Dreamscapes and dreamwalkers and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I do that quite a lot, actually.
Okay, so that's its own thing, or is that similar?
Because that's something in your dream, when you are completely aware that you are in dream, you are visiting somewhere, doing some work, and you have a time frame by which you have to come back in the body.
And can you, so how does that process? Is it like, do you exit the body and you go somewhere for?
Every night when you are sleeping, you're exiting the body.
Okay.
Except the difference between death and sleep is that the cord is still there when you are sleeping, and with that cord, you are coming back to the body. When you are dead, that cord is gone. It's cut off. So you have no option to come back to the body anymore.
Okay. And what do you do? What, you just like float out? Where do you go?
Yeah. Yeah, you go to different dimensions, you do your work over there.
Okay.
And then you come back. Yeah. I had a lot of intense experience on this after my mom passed away. Because I was very attached to her, because obviously in the last few years of her life, it was just me and her. The attachment was super strong. So when she left the body, I think at one point I was even scared to go to sleep, because the moment I would close my eyes, I would be traveling with her in different dimensions she was going through. And they were not nice, trust me. It's not always what we see near-death experience, that there is a tunnel and white light and beautiful angels and beings waiting for you. It's not like that at all. There are God knows how many thousands and, millions of dimensions out there. And one thing that came to me at that point was that I started thinking, is there any way one can escape hell after crossing over?
Isn't that with the Buddha, with the what is it? Buddha sent down a spider with a single string.
Tell me that story.
From what I remember, it was about a guy who karmically only did one thing good, which was to save a spider at one point. So Buddha let down a spider, and it was a single string that reached out. And he climbed, and the moment he tried to kick people off the string snapped. So that's how the story that I remember it going.
I realized at that point that as long as there is one iota of hell in your mind, there will be hell after life as well.
Interesting.
Because your mind is creating everything. After you leave this body, there is no physical body anymore to ground you here. It's only the mind body at that time. So everything you are thinking, everything you are feeling is 1,000 times more than what you're experiencing here. And I could see my mom when she left with a lot of bitterness or rage, anger within her.
A lot of people do, yeah.
A lot of people do. And there were dimensions she was in where there were volcanic eruptions. And everybody's covered with black ash, and it was horrible. It is hell in a way. It is hell. That is hell. And I realized those were like projections of her anger.
Interesting. So,
see, these are none of this I can scientifically prove it, but these are all my own experiences.
No, I mean, listen, science can only go so far, and I don't know about these things.
They are creations of our mind, yes.
But science is a human tool, and it's our way of perceiving the universe.
See, science is always proving what already exists. So maybe a few years from now, somebody will prove this and it will become a science as well.
Maybe. Who knows? It's these things are hard questions to answer, and I don't know what the ability of the human mind is, whether or not the soul exists, what our implications of it are in a larger perspective.
Well, for example, when I do past life regressions with a lot of my clients, when they come out, there's like, how did you know Navana at this point? I was there because you asked exactly that question to me. I can see what they see. Now, this is not something I can teach anybody.
And what do you see when you see me then?
I said you're a gypsy. Yeah. You're a monk in your own space. So there are very few people who will be able to relate to you.
This is very much cold reading. I love that.
Take it. I could have said that, you are amazing to,
You're an interesting person. You're honestly, and listen, I choose people based on if I find them interesting and whether or not I can cognitively and mentally somehow.
But do you have a sister?
I do have a sister.
Yeah, because every time I look at you, I see a sister, whom you care about, affectionate, a lot about. And she has a lot of influence energetically in your life.
I see my sister once a year. Close though.
No, but she has a lot of energetical influence in your life.
I don't think so. I'm not that close sadly with the family.
Yeah.
I love my sister.
Maybe it is just the physical, circumstances that you don't see her on a daily basis.
But
no, but I didn't see your brother. I just see your sister.
Well, sister, you share a bond with, and with brother, it's always a little bit, brother. With sister, you have to take care of her. So, of course.
Yeah.
There's that.
Some bonding, some connection between
No,
you
of course. Well, especially in our culture, the males have to take care of the female. I think this is very common in India. This is very common in the Middle East. This is very common almost everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of protectiveness
yeah.
about it. And if anything happened to my dad, God forbid, my sister's pretty young, it would obviously
No, but it's not protective.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's not the protectiveness that I'm seeing.
Okay, what are you seeing?
Yeah.
Love?
Yeah,
hate?
I see the energy coming from her to you.
From her to me? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
sweet. And from me to her, 0.
It's
Sorry, Alia.
Yeah. It's a long-term bonding of, beyond this lifetime. So
That's sweet. I mean, I love her.
see, some souls in our life, they're all relations. Some souls are more newer relations. Some are more older relations.
Yeah? And so you think me and my sister have an older relationship?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I'll introduce you to her someday. She is fanatically obsessed about me, which is very sweet.
Yeah.
But she's 12 years old.
Yeah, because she's always sending out those good wishes, thoughts, that warm energy she sends.
I mean, bless her heart. I mean, she's very competitive, and I think she asked my dad at one point, who's smarter, Hamid or me?
That's so cute.
Exactly. And
But she can't do without you either.
it's so sweet.
Yeah.
So my dad said, "Of course, you, Alia," and she was, of course, happy and excited and stuff like that. So sweet.
That's so cute.
Yeah, she used to ask me how old I was, and I'd always lie to her, and I'd be like, "I'm 630," because
Okay.
for her, like, how it happened, right? We were asking like around the table, like, how old is Baba?
Yeah.
How old is Mama? How old is
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
She would be like, Dad is like, I don't know, whatever age. Mom is whatever age. Hamid is 600 and something years old. So from then,
Yeah.
whenever she asks me how old I am, I always just take that number and add an additional year.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so I will never tell you how old I am, hallelujah, till the day you die. Yeah. What about you? You said you have no siblings. You only have friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are you
Only
particularly
friends.
close with?
See, my friends, when I talk to them, it's never a 10-minute conversation. Because everybody is like quite deep friends. Yeah.
And
So there's not one person I can say, like, this is only the only friend. And all my friends are pretty much in the same. Like, our conversations are weird for other people.
so what are your conversations in general like? How was your meditation today?
There is one friend who's very close to me now. He comes from a South Indian family. He was a priest in a temple for like 13 years, eating one time a day.
Okay.
And he said since he was born, like, they're a Vedic family. So he said anytime I would say something, my father would be like, back it up with a shloka from Veda. Otherwise, don't open your mouth. So he will talk to you after every 2 sentences, he will give a Veda shloka.
Okay.
Which in the beginning was amazing, and later I'm like, oh man, please stop it. My ears are bleeding. But so I have a friend like that. I have a friend, a lot of them are like, in their 50s, 60s. They're in spirituality, some of them are psychics, some...
What is a psychic?
Yeah, they just look at you and tell you about things from past, your future.
So like how you told me that me and my sister have a
No,
connection.
this, that was just like I'm
Vibe.
getting a vision
Vision.
of your sister, like behind on,
The right of me or the left of
the
me?
right side behind your head. I got
Your right, my left. So here.
this side, yeah.
Ghoulish and evil.
No, not at all, not at all. A lot of warmth, a lot of love. coming from there to you.
That's very sweet. Wherever you are, hallelujah.
So yeah, so her energy is with you all the time anyway.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, so they can do what? They can move objects with their mind?
Yeah, I have friends
No,
like that
they cannot.
But that's so boring anyway.
What do you mean that's so boring?
Yeah, like now you practice. There are schools for that. You practice 3 hours a day. And then I was like, yeah, I can do something better. 3 hours a day, I can meditate.
So wait. You're telling me you're not interested in having, like, let's say that bottle of water come to you? Wouldn't that make your life so much more convenient?
I'll have a maid to do that.
Nah.
Yeah.
Turn your page on your book.
See,
Levitate.
Have you noticed, like, years before, whenever these monks and all, they used to meditate and all, their goal was enlightenment or, self-realization, whatever. And all these powers and clairvoyance and moving objects, whatever, they were all byproducts.
Yes. I've talked to a Baba who said exactly the same thing as you said.
Yeah.
And that people whose practicing goal is to achieve those powers will never achieve those powers.
Yeah, they just come
because
anyway.
it's the wrong intent. Exactly. Yeah.
And nowadays, people come to me and they're like, they ask me clairvoyance workshop. And I'm like, you don't need to do a workshop to become clairvoyant. Keep working on yourself. The more empty you are, the more clear you are, you will become clairvoyant automatically.
I like that.
Or, Kundalini energy. I'm like, you don't need to go to a workshop. Kundalini for any person at some point of their life, one lifetime or other, it will rise.
I can give you a better metaphor. You're a closed glass. The more smoke you let out, the clearer it is. There you go.
Exactly. Somebody who does no meditation, no spirituality, no gyan, but just simply lives a simple life, pure emotions, natural living, their Kundalini will automatically rise at some point. Rather, when you go to these workshops, it's dangerous because, we have got 72,000 channels in the body. So,
okay.
72,000 subtle channels in the body.
I know what you're
so when you are going to this Kundalini workshop, you are not prepared. You haven't done your homework. You are letting that energy rise. It is rising, but you don't know which channel it is going into. And when these subtle nerves, these channels, they tear, they break in the physical body, we are immediately not understanding the effect of it. But in the long run, in the mental body, it will affect you. Like you see so many people doing headstands, right? Through these channels, not just the blood, your emotions are also flowing. You are not following a certain discipline in your day-to-day life.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
All those emotions, if let's say you have a lot of issues with anger or lust or greed, you haven't worked upon it. Those emotions are straight running to your head as well.
Interesting. So you're exacerbating the issue then.
Yep.
So this is what you're talking about, where people practice the yoga exercises without the religious or
too many people,
aspect to it, and so they have a lot of movement of the emotion, but not the release of the emotion.
Too many people are piggybacking on yoga. They've made yoga like gymnastics, but the essence of yoga is gone.
So what is the difference between someone who's practicing yoga correctly and incorrectly? There is
a lot of danger in practicing it incorrectly because you are working with your life force energy, without which you are dead. Without manipulation of it in the wrong way, you will have diseases in the body. You can't play with life force energy. It's not a child's game.
So do you believe that people can steal life force energy? Or
people can
steal life force energy and give life force energy?
Yes.
Yes,
because energy is always flowing between each other. And most of the people, what we say in today's world, energy vampires, right?
Okay.
They are not connected vertically. So they are taking horizontally all the time.
Have you met people like that?
All the time.
Interesting.
Now you are meditating, right?
Yes.
Even without meditation, some people can be connected vertically.
Yes.
From that source.
Yes.
But if you are totally cut off here.
Yes.
But you still need energy. Where will you get it from? From here, this person, that person.
So interesting that you say from up to here, because some yogis express that the energy comes from the feet up. right? Especially the Chinese and all that.
The earth energy.
The earth energy. Yeah. They claim it has nothing to do upwards. It comes from the soil, and they practice this.
That's the earth energy.
Yeah, where they should walk without shoes, and you should stand on grass.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff.
There is water energy, earth energy, fire energy.
Okay. And this is different than chi.
Cosmic energy. There are 5 elements.
I feel like we're looking at a map and there's pictures of different aspects, but I don't see the connection yet of how like the 5 energies work with the whatever chai or chi.
See, this is I wrote in my book, right, in that Emotional Mastery, that everybody has a certain predominant energy in you. We all have fire energy, water energy.
And I'm guessing yours is fire.
Not at all.
What is yours?
I'm a total water energy.
You're total water. Okay, because you're wearing red and red.
No. I'm a
and
total
red
water.
and red. Okay.
I'm a total water person.
Okay.
Now, every energy has a certain emotion predominant in them. For example, me being a water element more. Okay. Predominant emotion is fear.
Okay.
That's what I'm more susceptible to, fear of the unknown.
So fear motivates you.
Sorry,
fear motivates you then?
No. Fear is what will pull me down. That's the first energy in a stress situation. That's the first emotion that will hit me.
Okay.
Fear.
Okay.
I'll get fearful.
Okay.
Now, somebody who's of more fire energy, the first emotion that will hit them is panic.
Okay.
Somebody who's an earth element, the first emotion that will hit them is worry.
Okay.
So every element has a certain predominating emotion associated with them.
So how can you tell what energy you are? Can you, what force you are? Earth, water?
There is a certain questionnaire, which, if you fill that up, I've given it in the book, you can easily find which element you are predominantly. But for example, fire person is a kind of person who always wants to be in the center stage, center of attention. Their life goal is joy. Wherever they will find joy, they will move. You might find a fire person and he's so full of life. They're the bubbly kind of person. You'll be like, he's my best friend. And the next moment you will be hurt because they're gone to somewhere else just because they think they have found joy somewhere else.
Okay.
That's a fire person.
Okay.
Water is more, they're the more in the deep philosophies of life. They make the writers and the poet and musicians. They will look at a painting and they will think for a long time, what is it behind the mind and the imagination of the painter? They are the water person. They're adaptable. They're always flowing, moving. Earth is somebody, they are very nurturing people. They cannot do anything by themselves. They were always like, let's do it together. You will find such people. You ask them to work alone, they will never be able to. They will like, let's do it together. We are a team.
Okay.
A fire person will always say, you do it. I command. I give the orders.
Okay.
Okay. Water person will be, let's go with the flow.
Okay.
Okay. Somebody who is a wood person. Okay. Wood person, the main emotion is anger. In a stretch situation, they will be the first one to explode. They love structure, discipline, organization, more military, authoritative kind. Everything is black and white in life.
Okay.
So there are different elements, different characteristics, personalities, and each element has a particular emotion attached to it. And each emotion has a particular organ attached to it.
So what about mutated elements like ice, lightning?
No.
All that other stuff. Because in China, they've got all this other...
They have it, but predominantly, again, subdivisions can go. But the main divisions, these are the main ones.
They have like this... because it has also something to do with yin and yang. And
there is a lot of study, but in a brief way, like for example, if you're feeling a lot of anger and you gulp it down, because I'm not supposed to be angry. Where does it go? Liver is the organ that stores it. Every organ is a house for a certain emotion.
Okay.
Fear normally affects the kidneys. Somebody who has a kidney issue, you will find if you go back in his life stories, there will be a lot of situations of fear, insecurity for them. Too much panic for fire people, it affects their heart more easily. So every organ is loyal to a certain emotion as well. Over the years, when you keep suppressing and storing them, finally, it will have a somatic result, physical symptom in the body.
This is a lot of information I'm trying to process. This is, okay. So
liver disorder, anytime it's because of lot of emotions of anger, feeling life is not fair, that rage. Yeah, finally you end up with a liver not functioning properly.
Very long since the last time I've been angry. So yeah, I
because I find that a lot in people nowadays.
Really? Anger?
Liver issues.
No. It's interesting. So what was it? You had the kidney issues, I'm guessing, from the fear?
I do have, a lot of issues with the reproductive organs, water element of the body. Yes.
Interesting.
It's there. Grief, lungs issue. My mother had lungs fibrosis. So she did go through a lot of grief in her life. From the separation from her husband, from her brother not getting the kind of treatment she would have wanted. Yeah.
And your book came about for what reason? You just felt like, hey, you know what? I have to publish a book? Or
no. I almost 6 years back, at that time my guru had told me, in future this girl is going to write a book. And
which guru was this?
Me, in the Himalayas.
Wait, this was in the Himalayas?
Yeah,
because you met a lot of gurus.
In the Himalayas, I remember my guru saying that, in future she will be writing a book. I'm like, what book? Like, it was beyond my imagination.
Okay.
I did not even think that in 100 years I'll write a book.
And are you planning on writing a second book?
Yeah.
So you enjoyed the process?
I love writing now.
Okay.
If somebody would tell me just write for 1 year, like shut your door all day and just write, I will keep on writing. Okay. I love writing.
Okay. And is that...
Remember, I'm the water element. They make the writers.
Listen, I trust
musicians and poets.
Hey, look, this is all... It's like you're speaking French to me. I'm just...
Earth element, you ask them to sit all day in one place, they will not move. It's so easy for them. Because earth is solid, stable. They can just sit in one place. They're good meditators in that way.
I'll have to, after this episode, I'll buy your book and I'll do the questionnaire and I'll text you. I'll WhatsApp you.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. Yeah, it's interesting.
So can you see people's chakra as well?
See, the concept of chakras that we have, again, is very distorted and misinformation is going on a lot.
Okay.
But yes, chakras, energy centers, they do exist. So we can't see them with physical eyes, but they're there.
Wait.
You have to do a lot of meditation to be able to actually feel them and get the vision of them.
Okay. So what is this then? Danny, what's it called when people are able to see what kind of color you're giving off?
Aura reading?
Aura reading, yeah. Okay, what's that?
See, first of all, again, a lot of misinformation because your aura does not have just one color. Okay. And your aura changes colors throughout the day at different times.
Okay, so what is how can you tell what my aura is? People explain it to me saying you watch between the edges of the skin and that's how somehow you're able to do it.
Have you ever been able to do that?
I have never been in my life, nor have I ever wanted to.
It doesn't work that. Yes, it does with practice. Okay. Certain training you can, but...
Can you read that?
I find it very futile.
Hello there.
Hi. And another thing I'll tell you, it's very interesting. This Western way of... what do I call it? Self-realization, whatever. The West believes that we are carrying a lot of baggage as a human being. Do therapies, one therapy after another. Keep shedding. The more you shed, the more lighter you become. And once you are lighter, you are ready for that spiritual, self-realization.
Okay.
The East, when you look at China, Japan, India, they have a very different way of looking at it.
Yes.
They say, you do your own thing. You keep on meditating, you keep on doing your chanting or whatever you have been taught, your spiritual practice. Whatever is not required, it will shed off by itself.
Well, you mentioned this earlier in the show, right? That people almost go shop for spirituality and that they look around and see what works and what's seasonal and, you know, everyone's doing this and so I'll do this.
Yeah. I saw on Instagram lately what sadhu yoga.
I don't know what that is.
In one of the centers, sadhu yoga, walking on nails.
Okay. Is that popular again?
It's very popular in Dubai right now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Isn't that the same as people who can walk on like fire or whatever it's called?
But why do you even need to walk on fire?
I'm not impressed by it. I'm just saying that people are doing it.
Honestly, like because you need to show somebody something, get some validation, talk about it.
Okay. So
why? I mean, what is the need? I think simplicity is so underrated right now.
Okay, we're branching off in different things.
Yeah,
again.
I know.
What's let's figure out the aura thing because I feel like that's a lot of people look that up and want to understand that stuff. How does it work with the fire elements and elements, or does it work with your chi?
No, everyone has an aura.
Okay.
Irrespective what element you are, it's your energy.
Okay.
That you are radiating your magnetic field.
Okay, but just
that
in a visual spectrum.
Yeah, in a visual spectrum. You cannot see it with physical eyes.
Okay, it's something that you feel?
Some people can see the colors.
Okay.
But not everybody. Some people can feel it. Those who are more kinesthetic, they will be able to feel it.
Okay.
There is aura scanning that we practice also.
Is that what the thing is where they do like that?
We can scan the aura of a person, how long it is stretching, how does it feel, is it thorny or is it smooth, is it sticky? There are trainings for that. Those who are into healing.
Isn't that like Tai Chi? No, that's something else where they do like energy
in Tai Chi
healing.
also they're doing the energy, they're feeling the energy, they're working with the energy. They're controlling, mastering the energy, movement of it. Yeah.
Okay, and that's something very different than what they teach in Himalaya, or is that the same? Or
see, the root of all of it is the same.
Okay,
it's mastering the energy.
Okay, and then just the practice of that energy is then different.
Yeah,
on how
all the names have been given later.
Okay.
Right? I mean, the master who started Reiki, he did not give the name Reiki. He meditated.
Okay.
Energy started flowing.
Okay.
Later, his followers gave the name Reiki.
Okay.
People ask me, do you do pranic healing? Do you do Reiki? I'm like, none of it.
You do your own thing.
Because from my experience, when you are ready, the energy just starts flowing through you. It's a huge expanse of energy, right? Mm-hmm. You want a pink straw or a blue straw or a green straw and call it Reiki, pranic healing, quantum healing, blue healing, red healing, whatever you want to. But everybody...
I like that. That's some great marketing right there.
Everybody using a different colored straw to pull from the same source of energy. It's as simple as that.
Oh, okay.
And when you are ready, the energy will start flowing through you. You don't need to go to a class for that.
So do you practice also in the healing classes as well, or do you focus mostly on the emotional?
No,
spectrum?
I do therapy, which are certain techniques.
Yeah.
I do not do healing. I do not call myself a healer.
Okay.
Because I'm no one to heal anybody.
Okay.
I'm just a facilitator.
But you heal people emotionally, though.
I don't do any healing. They heal themselves.
Sure. You just show them the path.
Yeah, I just follow a certain technique. I tell them step by step, do this.
Okay.
I just kind of follow, hold their hand.
Okay.
And that's all I do.
Hey, Danny. So we were discussing earlier in the show that we're going to go through a past life experience and you're going to be the guinea pig in this. With my permission. We'll put it, it's content, dude.
Oh no.
He's worried now.
Where he will go.
Yeah? We'll find out who you were. Maybe you were like...
But honestly, you need to go to a very good therapist, because I'll tell you, a lot of backfire can happen if it is not a proper
we'll do it with
therapist.
You. We'll do it with you if you're up for it.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Yeah, see? Well, we don't do it today, but we'll definitely do it. We'll do another episode. Exactly.
There is no risk.
See?
There is no risk.
We don't need to do a Kashi because we know he's a dog anyway. So
who knows what he will come across? When Dr. Mansoor comes, ask him. He did one regression session with me.
Oh, yeah?
And he was a non-believer.
Yeah? And then what? Now
obviously, because he's quite into his religion.
Yeah.
And ask him for his experience.
Well, Buddhism and religion have nothing to do with each other.
It was funny.
Because in Buddhism, it even says it's not a religion in the end of the day.
It is not.
Yeah.
It is not. Religion is man-made. Spirituality and religion is different.
I agree with that. I mean, Buddha.
Yeah.
I mean, in with Genghis Khan allowed people to practice Islam and any other religion.
Yeah.
And he was.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care about religion, but whoever has made a connection, I'm interested. Whichever way. And whoever has made the connection after a certain extent, they just go in silence.
They just go in silence?
After reaching that state, nobody has ever documented what it's like.
No one has documented what it's like. Can you explain that a little bit better for me?
After reaching samadhi, the
Samadhi.
state.
Oh, okay. And they just float away?
Nobody has explained in words after that. Maybe because it is beyond words anyway. So...
What about, I know that some Buddhists practice meditation to mummify themselves. Have you heard of this?
Yes, in Tibet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are tons of caves like that in Tibet. And I know there are cultures in Tibet where it is natural for them, in Bhutan as well. It is natural for them, householders, common men, that after a certain age, they go in these caves. They are like rooms inside the caves. And first, element by element, they start the mastery. So first, they meditate. They're from the family only, they give them food. Then they let go of the food, which means when they have mastery of the earth element. After that, they let go of water, which is the mastery of water element. After that, they go into the samadhi. No more breath. But they are not dead. And there are tons of them mummified. But they are not dead.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And they like, how does that work? Like, do they just go to their family and to their children and to their wife and be like, listen,
yeah,
I'm done now.
It's common for them. It's a natural process of life for them.
And they're not sad. They're just
no. It's again our perception, because our expectation of life is different. For them, that is, even in Hinduism, we had that before. That towards the end, Banaprastha, that there are 4 stages of life, Brahmacharya, and then Garhastha. Brahmacharya is when you're a student. Then starts Garhastha, that you must experience being a householder, having a family. Then comes Vanaprastha, when you leave the society and then you enter the forest. You live a simple life. You're getting ready. And then comes sannyas at the end, when you become a monk before you leave the body.
This reminds me of Henry David Thoreau. I went into the woods to see what it had to teach and not to go when I'm dying, to learn I have yet not lived. So it is interesting that these practices, you find them again and again and again recurring in different cultures.
But you have to experience everything in life. Because if you don't experience, for example, the life of a family, household, that age, later, that will pull you back again when you are trying to be by yourself in solitude.
These monasteries, these guys, these babas, they don't have families, and sometimes not even want a wife. They just sit there and meditate.
Yeah, as well.
So do they then? Do they have to then go through that again?
Yeah, some of them. We take it like it's not just one lifetime that you are meditating.
Okay.
You are doing this for lifetimes.
Okay.
And certain times, they have to leave the body because the physical body cannot support you any longer. And they continue the work in the next lifetime. They're like, wherever I've left off, I'll start again the same point in next lifetime. They've reached that state that they have control over so much. And they won't go in a family or anything. They will go straight into it after they're born.
So is this different than the concept of the 6 6 worlds where, you know, there's heaven, hell, earth, animal, and you have to go through each cycle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This is totally different.
See,
than that.
I mean, I will say I have clients who have regressed in lifetimes in, in
It's
animal,
Sumatra, I
in
think
the
it's called.
animal kingdom.
Yeah, it's called Sumatra or something like that. Something Sam. Yeah.
Samsara?
Samsara.
Different.
It's like the idea of going from.
Yeah, you go from different to different. Like from the animal, the first human birth you take is more of the tribals because
Yeah.
they are the nearest to the
Yeah.
animal kin.
And then the goal is to exit the Samara.
Yeah.
And you're stuck in the
But you have a
sixth cycle.
certain lifespan for that as well.
Okay.
Because if the soul doesn't reach by that time, you're again thrown back in the
From back
bottom.
where? Back to zero.
Yeah, nature gives you a certain time.
Okay.
So if you are a soul who is never learning, ever learning, the Shastras say that nature again puts you back
And so
in the same. Again, you start.
what happens if you
Goes
exit
in
it then?
cycle. You should be exiting, yeah.
Oh no, what happens when you exit? Then you just roam around, you do whatever.
If I had the answer, I would write a book on it. Let me exit first.
Okay. I'm just fascinated.
But that's
by
what I'm saying. Those who have reached a certain stage, after that, there are no more words. They haven't written or said anything. Because also in our limiting consciousness, we will only understand how much
There's something
we can.
There's yes. There are some babas that believe that they cannot talk too much.
Yes.
Because it'll be detrimental.
Yes.
And-
Even we are always told that don't give everything to everyone. See the capacity and then give.
There's I remember
Yeah.
something there
You don't want to give them a diarrhea.
Yeah, well, there's that, and I remember.
And also, like a 2-year-old, if they say that, I want to read a PhD book, it doesn't work. So we have to allow ourselves the time also. Through our own journey, we will learn.
And there are some monasteries that say that it takes them 4 years to go between entry and exit, but that's a whole other thing, I think.
See, even a lot of people that say you do.
I like asking you, like you know all the
You know
answers
how-
on this.
See, because I experiment a lot.
Yeah.
I work on it myself and then only I can tell.
Of course.
And there are a lot of people who say 100,000, if you do this mantra, this will happen. It doesn't work that way. It can happen for somebody, for 10,000 and for 1 million also it may not work for you.
Do you have a mantra, Danny? Do you have a mantra, Danny? Oh man, you don't know anything. You're going to be stuck in that cycle for life.
Oh no.
You're never going to be able to exit the Samantra.
Yeah. Chant.
What's yours? Hey! See, I mentioned earlier that you bleed purple. That's what I like. We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Wonderful. So.